One of the things that gets overlooked when building cars is cooling. Now you can have a really built engine, but as soon as you take it to the track, the temperatures start going out of control and the life of your components goes way down. I mean, really quick. One of the things that often gets ignored is proper cooling of the oil. So today we're going to be talking with CSF, and none other than Ravi Dolwani from CSF is going to explain all about his wonderful coolers that we've been using for years here. And the man himself will go over the technology.
Thanks, Mike. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me at the MotoIQ garage. So at CSF, we have just released a new line of oil coolers. Kind of an interesting twist to the conventional oil cooler that you've seen in the automotive aftermarket. No one's really built an oil cooler like this, and we think it's unique, and there's a lot of advantages that we've built into our design that you won't find from any other oil cooler out there.
Right. Do you want to explain some of the things?
Sure. So the first thing that you're going to notice is the construction of the core. This is a high-performance bar and plate core versus a softer or less durable stack type tube and fin style that you'll see like on a lot of cheaper oil coolers are out there in the market.
And it's really important to have a core like that. Like the oil coolers are normally up in front of the car, and when you're doing racing, they catch a lot of rocks and stuff. And we've had oil coolers fail like that a bunch of times due to rock impacts. And your coolers can take that, right?
Oh yeah, these are super durable. I mean, you can pick one of these up and bang on it. You know, you could stand on this. So we're really excited about the functionality of these oil coolers and where you can put them. You can put them even outside of the front bumper. You can put them in any of the fascia openings where you might get some rock debris. If you want to use it under the car as like a diff cooler, you can totally do that. We're very confident that it's going to be able to take any type of abuse that you would see in any motorsports condition. So with that, you know, the core is a high performance turbulated oil cooler core, and you can flow any different type of oil. So whether it's engine oil, transmission oil, power steering, or any other type of fluid, it's designed to do that.
Can you explain a little bit about your turbulators?
Yeah, so it's a fin that actually is inserted into the bar and plate tube.
Okay.
And what that does, it keeps the oil in the core longer. So as more fresh air passes, it has a better chance of cooling the oil. It's got a nice powder-coated black finish on the outside, so that's also for salt corrosion, as well as helps a little bit more protection with the debris that may be hitting the cooler.
Does the coating help the Blackbody radiation and improve heat exchange that way too?
Yes, it definitely helps for more than just a raw cooler. So it definitely extracts heat, dissipates it faster.
I noticed that the end plates have this like detail in there. Do you want to explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Mike, I'm glad you pointed that out. This is a new bar design we've come out with for this bar and plate oil cooler. Most bar and plate oil coolers, intercoolers, anything you see in this type of core construction would have a square bar at the end. We've come out with this new aeroflow design that actually is more aerodynamic and pulls the air through the core. So rather than hitting the bar and scattering, we're able to get a little bit additional more cooling going through this core with this new hole. This hole actually makes this actually lighter. It's stronger, lighter, and better airflow through the core with this new aeroflow design.
When you look at the core, it looks like you have a pretty high density fin pitch. You want to tell me about that?
So one of the benefits of having a wind tunnel in-house is that we're able to test all of our cores and the type of velocity that's normally be going through an oil cooler. So we've optimized the fin pinch on this to be a high density, multi-louvered, and staggered design. So that helps dissipate the air through the core, like you said earlier, for surface area contact with the tubes, and that allows for really proper cooling when it comes to a functional oil cooler that you're going to have maybe in a car in a zone where there'll be less air pressure, or even in the front of a car, you're going to get good oil cooling. The other component that we designed into this that we think is more advantageous than you've seen a normal oil cooler. A typical oil cooler may have both the inlet and outlet on the top, which is then causing you have to route one of the lines to the other one and then run it to wherever you are for your oil connection. 3 out of these 4 designs are dual pass, where you have the inlet and outlet on the same side, so it's really easy to route your oil lines.
I think what I like about the way you have your oil lines coming in too is that you can get away with like avoid 90-degree fittings and 180-degree fittings, because those always cause a big pressure drop.
Yeah, so one thing, like you said, you'll have larger pressure drop the more angles and bends you have, but when it comes to actually buying fittings for your oil system, this is going to make it more economical. You're not going to have to buy different types of, like you said, 90s or 180s just to be able to route this correctly. You can literally take one line right into the cooler. 3 of these 4 coolers have M22 by 1.5 fittings, which is the standard metric female thread that you would get from most oil coolers out there in the market. So it's really easy just to put your lines right into the cooler, or just a 45 or something else that would be better for flow of the oil.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Let's talk about each individual cooler of the range of 4, and I can just point out some small different variations and talk a little bit more about the specifics. The smallest one that we have is our part number 8119, and this is a really nice cooler. It's small, it's compact. We have this underneath the passenger headlight for our Evo X, and we're using this as a supplementary oil cooler. What's nice about it, it's a dual pass. It's got the M22 by 1.5 female fittings, and it's about 20 inches long and about 5 inches tall, 2¼ inches thick. So it can fit in a lot of different spots. If you just need a little bit more oil cooling for whatever you're doing, maybe you want to use it as a power steering cooler or a transmission oil cooler, this is a really great choice, especially if you're limited with space.
The dual pass is a good feature because generally when you go dual pass, you pick up about 15 to 20% more efficiency for the exact same size core, right?
Yeah, it's more efficient, and like we touched on earlier, it's really easy with the routing of the lines. You have the inlet and outlet really close to each other, so it's going to be real easy to put it to wherever you want. A lot of guys use it in a compact space that's tight. That just makes it a little easier also.
Why don't you show our viewers what we mean by dual pass exactly?
Sure. So, this being a universal fit that can be up and down, but the basic concept is the oil goes in one way. There's a separator in the tank, as you can see with this weld line. So the oil will go through the top section and then come around the bottom and exit out the other side. So one side would be the inlet and one side would be the outlet.
And it kind of has way more time in the core to cool down, and that's where you pick up the efficiency, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't know what that is, and they hear us talk about it all the time, but I think it's a great thing because it's almost getting something for nothing.
Yeah, you get better fitment, easier routing of the lines, plus better performance. So it's a really nice package that we've been able to develop with this part number 8119.
That's awesome.
Moving to the back one, this one's a little bit different than the other 3 in our range. The thing that's most noticeable is that we have actually built in -10 male fittings. Again though, a dual pass, a little bit longer of a cooler. This is about 20 inches long and about 5 inches tall and 2¼ inches wide. So this has got 8 rows of cooling, just like the smaller one. This one was the first one that we came out with about a year ago, and it was received very well in the aftermarket. A lot of guys were using these outside of their front bumper, because they realized it could take a lot of rock chips and debris. And this is dubbed our boss oil cooler because a lot of the guys were really happy with this one. So.
What I like is by adding the AN right on there, you get rid of one place that could fail or leak, and you also don't have to buy two fittings.
Yeah, you're saving about $40-50 just in fittings right there on the price of the cooler. The part number is 8066, so 8066, and this cooler retails for $339.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then moving over to the left side, these are the 2 oil coolers that are both universal style oil coolers, but we developed them specifically for the Porsche aftermarket for guys who want to run a center oil cooler. The biggest difference between these is one is a dual pass, more of an RS style, where like again, the oil is going in through one side and coming out the other side as a return. This one is a little bit more rare. As you can see the fitment, it's a single pass, so oil goes in on one side and comes out on the other side for more of an RSR style for really heavy duty oil cooling for a guy who may have to run 3 oil coolers in a series. So we're pretty excited about both of these. These are slightly larger than the other 2 oil coolers. They're about 6 inches tall and about 10 rows of cooling. So the part numbers for these is 8110 and this one is 8111. They both retail for $5.99.
I really like these mounting blocks. They're solidly TIG welded in there.
The way that these have flush mounting pads on the bottom and top of the cooler, so it allows it to be mounted in multiple different ways. The mounting configuration, most oil coolers will only have two. We've put a triangular pad, so it's better for reinforcement. You can design your mounting bracket in multiple different ways to install these.
And do you have like steel thread inserts there?
Yeah, there are actually helicoils in there too for additional strength.
You know, that's a great added touch. You know, like a lot of times when you have like the aluminum threads, they can pull out, and having the steel thread already in there, that makes it super bulletproof.
We get a lot of feedback from our R&D partners and our race teams that we work with, and you know, they're all about reliability. So when we get the feedback, we really try to implement it into whatever new designs we're coming out with, and we're always about pushing the edge as well when it comes to cooling technologies.
I mean, one of the things that I could see as a big advantage here is your typical oil cooler, like a lot of guys mount them like on those little cheesy ears that are on there, and they usually crack or vibrate apart. And the correct way to mount those is you have to kind of have an elaborate kind of clamshell that keeps the cooler in tension, and usually you have to fabricate that, and you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. And if you use those mounting tabs that look like they're mounting tabs, they're not really mounting tabs, and usually the cooler will fail. And this solves like a bunch of headaches. You can make a simple bracket, just hang the cooler. You can just hang it on two ends or from the bottom, and it gives you tremendous flexibility. And you know, as a car builder, I could really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you know, with these universal designs, it doesn't just have to be mounted horizontally. You can mount it vertically as well, and then use a mounting pad on the top and bottom. You can put it into a V-mount configuration. You can put it parallel if you want to be able to, you know, duct the air down through the bottom of the car. So there's a lot of different things that we thought about when we went into the design of, well, how is it going to be mounted? How is the oil going to be routed? You know, with these two larger oil coolers that we've developed, we actually had Porsche oil cooling in mind. These are used in the IROC style air-cooled bumpers as a front center oil cooler. So these angles, which are 15 degrees, just a slight taper, it actually helps with mounting this completely flush into the front bumper of an old air-cooled Porsche.
I mean, I think the angled mounts probably help the mount, help the plumbing and everything line up better for just about anything you do, actually. I mean, these are really awesome. If you've actually spent time working on cars, I think this is a great thing to speed up the installation and the reliability of everything. We've used CSF extensively in our project cars in the past, and we've done a lot of tests with CSF, but can't wait to get some of this in some of our new projects and do some more testing in future articles and videos.
Yeah, definitely. We're really excited about these oil coolers, Mike, and we appreciate all the help MotoIQ's given us, and we are excited to get these on some of your builds and get these out to the aftermarket.
Well, thank you for coming out and talking to us today. I really appreciate it, and I think we got some good information for our viewers, and I hope you guys found this all interesting and informative. Like, we're pretty stoked on these coolers and can't wait to evaluate them.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, MotoIQ.
If you like this video, you want to see more tech, be sure and click the like button down there. Come to MotoIQ.com and read all about it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you later.